Welcome back, everybody. Here we are in Paris State Park, outside of Greenville, South Carolina. Take a look. This state park, well, it came around before the 1800s. Before it was a state park, it was actually a water supply. And another interesting fact about this place is the Appalachian Mountains, where it lies, is a very old mountain range. It is the second oldest mountain range in the whole world. The oldest being in Barberton, South Africa. Now, the reason I might mention Barberton, South Africa is it's fascinating because mountain ranges that are old are curvy looking. They're not the jagged peaks you would see in the Alps or the Rockies. They're actually curved off and rounded off. So the Appalachian and Blue Ridge Mountains, which we're at the foothills right now, are actually older rocks that don't have that jagged look, and they're also overgrown with things like this. With moss, lots of moss. That is a feature of older mountains, which are possibly millions of years older than the newer mountains that we've come to know, like Mount Everest or the Alps. Take a look here. Here's some boats. Wow. Paddle boat. Paddling for your legs. Go out in the boat. Have a good time, even though it is a winter and I wouldn't recommend it. In the 1700s, a man named Richard Paris, which would later become changed to Paris, was the landowner who owned the majority of the land here in Paris Mountain. 90 years later, wealthy people from the coast, Charlestonians, people from Charleston, would come to these waters here, and of course there's other waters, and they would claim that these waters had healing qualities. These were sulfur springs, and that these springs from the Appalachian Mountains would heal them of their malaises. Now, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But the placebo, that part is what counts. And maybe that, in the end, maybe they're able to heal themselves in the end through their own brain. In the 1700s and later, this would become a bathhouse. I'm not sure what kind of mamby-pamby things went on here, but what it looks like is that the Native Americans and the white man, the pilgrim, made peace here. And they were able to do that through their relationships that they established in these sulfuric springs bathhouses. And this style here is a mountain style cabin that was built. And even though right now it's a tourist attraction and a gift shop, in this area is where the bathhouses were. Interesting how bathhouses work. They're a way of, it's a form of social lubrication, really. It's where business deals are taken care of and relationships are meted out. Mountain biking. Look at that. no mountain biking or e-bikes on Saturdays. Only on Saturdays, everybody. No e-bikes on Saturdays. Just Saturdays. Here in South Carolina, we have interesting things. Besides at Paris Mountain not having e-bikes on Saturdays, we also have white pines. This is a white pine. They are huge, 120 feet or more even, pines. Massive, massive. I do not know the genus in Greek or Latin, but I will say they are quite beautiful. Ah, oui, gay Paris. People think Paris Mountain has anything to do with France or the French. It doesn't. His name was Richard Paris, and they changed the name later to Paris, but it was spelled differently than Paris, as in Paris, France. The reason why they changed it probably is most likely a marketing ploy, and it would get people to come to the park because they're like, oh, Paris Mountain, that's fancy, must be affiliated with France, even though it is not at all. The land here was acquired in 1777 from the Cherokee Native Americans. Before that, it was colonized by and from the PD and also the Muskogee. Basically fought after and sought after, and lots of blood was spilled for this land. Warring tribes. So the Cherokee weren't there before. They had taken it from other tribes. It was acquired in 1777 from the landowners. Keep walking here. We're gonna walk down this trail. Lake Placid Trail, Mountain Creek Trail, Music in the Woods, Amphitheater. See? There we go. Foot traffic only. Foot traffic only. Hiking trail. And if you'll notice about these older mountains, I'm talking about the mountains like in South Africa or the mountains here in the Appalachian Trails, you'll notice the root systems are very deep and also very prominent. These are old mountains. These are ancient mountains. They're not the jagged ones that you see, the traditional mountains. So we think that those are old. No. These rounded off, even less high mountains are actually the ancient ones. Who would have ever thought? All right, let's get down to brass taxes. We're going to get down over here, show you how clear the water is. Interesting that Richard Paris, in his Bathhouse days, was thinking how awesome this water was and its healing qualities. But if you look, you'll notice that the water is pretty clear. And we have a salamander. A curious salamander. Hey, buddy. Wow. Look at him. There he is.
Hi.
That is definitely a salamander. Hopefully that's visible. Kind of scared him a bit. He was definitely curious. He was definitely curious about us. Wow. Pretty cool. I didn't think I'd see that. Paris Mountain. Salamanders? French salamanders in Paris Mountain. Ah, French salamanders in Paris Mountain. Some more trees. Beautiful, beautiful trees. Blowing in the wind. So you can see how strong the wind is by how it moves the entire tree trunk. Who says you can't see wind? Who says you can't see movement of the air? Yes, you can. You just have to compare it to other things next to it, and then you can see it visibly. You have to use it in a contrasting way, if that makes any sense. And then you can actually see wind. Today, Paris Mountain offers a more of a recreational treatment, which means people kayak here, they hike, they mountain bike, they go up the trails. Now, I'm not sure how many miles these trails are, but I'm sure they're extensive, probably spanning more than 6 to 7 miles. For you international viewers, that's, probably, I'm not sure how many kilometers that would be, probably more like 9 or 10 plus kilometers. But yeah, it's known more for a recreational state park these days instead of it being a previous bathhouse. And also we're going to talk about how it was a part of the Greenville water supply, which I will get to pretty soon. And take a look. That is the tourist center where you go and get information about the park. It's the gift shop also. But that used to be a sulfuric springs bathhouse. Late 1700s, early 1800s. Mamby, Pamby, Jibba, Jabba was occurring in the bathhouses. Whether we like it or not, that's human nature. Pleasure seeking, flesh seeking, the right to inebriate, it's just how it goes. But look at this. Beautiful. More trees. It's not a salamander like we saw earlier. Hopefully the footage picked it up. Hopefully this camera picked it up, and hopefully you guys can see it. This is definitely interesting. We also have malachite that can often be seen in the ground, which is this glowing, star-like and dust-like looking substance. You see it more in the spring and in the summer. But in the south, you definitely see malachite. A good amount of malachite. And then also, we have the lichen, or lichen. Call it whatever you want, but I believe it's lichen. The moss that grows on these rocks. And now, since it's quite a dry day, we have a barometer saying it's not super humid. There's not many clouds in the sky, so in fact there's none. No cirrus, no stratus, none of them. Here, check it out. Here's some malachite. Malachite is interesting because it's very fertile. The land is very fertile, full of minerals. Not every state in the Union you see malachite, and not in every country in the world. Malachite is more prevalent in some areas over others. Beautiful trees. Amazing. This is a prime hiking spot for a lot of people who live in the upstate area of South Carolina. I'm not sure what kind of plant this is, but I've seen it in Central Europe and Nepal as well. So if you all know what this is called, let me know. Not bad. Not bad for a Tuesday. I like my job. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it as well. But we got to get through this. We got to get through this hiking spot here. We're making it to one of the water dams where they would dam and levee the water and get it to go downstream where it would be supplied for the city of, formerly known as Pleasantburg. Burg being Berg, being castle, and pleasant being, well, you know what the word pleasant means. Ah, look at this. Is that a birdhouse? That is a tall birdhouse. And it looks like there might be bats, a bat logo on there. Something like that. Interesting. Oh yeah, more white pines. The land of the white pines. Here they are. Ladies and gentlemen, white pines. Oh, and fishing string attached to a white pine that a fisherman had lost. Let's see if we can capture that. I don't know if you can see it or not. Fishing for the birds. The fisherman was fishing for the birds in Austria, and in German we call it Vogelfischen. Now look down here what we got. Look at that. City of Greenville established the Paris Mountain Water Company in the late 1880s to create the city's first municipal water system. Up until the 1920s, this place served as the main water supply for the city of Greenville. And this is how they would dam up the water. As you can see, here we go. Look at this. Ooh, lizard. Anole lizard. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an Anole. Hi. Very cool. Fun little ADD moment there. A moment of total distraction, which makes this fantastic. Well, here it is. National Historic Place. In the National Registry of Historic Places. Here it is. And that is the water that supplied the probably 1,500 to 1,800 people in the 1800s who needed fresh water in Greenville. Greenville would have likely never happened had it not had a water supply system. And this was it, Paris Mountain. This is where the water system came from. The Appalachian Blue Ridge Mountains water supply. Fresh water filtered by root systems, minerals and rocks, and lots of rainwater. In 1935, this place would be christened as Paris Mountain State Park. Before that, it was owned by Richard Paris, who I had mentioned before. Wealthy West Virginian landowner who came down from West Virginia, a country mama. Anyways, so after that purchase happened, well, it eventually went to the city. Why? Because its waters are known as a watershed. As you can see, this is the watershed. And the waters are very clean. The root system and the stone and minerals and rocks would filter out and clean the water. Now, a 12-inch pipe would then go all the way down to Pleasantburg, and it would supply the water, fresh water, into the city of Greenville. This dam served 8,600 residents through a 12-inch pipe. How's it going? Is this an acorn? What the hell is this? What is this? What in the world? I think this might be an acorn of some sort. Say now, Bobby. Say, whistly acorn. I don't know. But the question is, the dam for Reservoir. Look, this is the dam for Reservoir after Table Rock Reservoir's construction. Apparently this thing, an area is known as Table Rock. Well, Table Rock, as I told you previously, supplied all the water. Let's see if this acorn can bounce. Bounce, baby, bounce. Woo! Hey! It bounced. So, this is how they dam the water. This is the second reservoir, and there's many others, I'm guessing, but here are the mechanical devices used. Let me put my glasses. Somewhere so they don't get squished. You know what we'll do? We'll just put my stuff over here so I can show you guys this area here is the devices that were used to harness water. Water that was taken from the reservoir that we're about to see, and the valves opened the water up and supplied water to the drainage, to these drains. Drains as in, well, let's see. I don't even know if you want to call it drainage. It's, see this thing? I mean, that is amazing. That's the 12-inch pipe, I guess, but it looks a little bit bigger. And as you can see, that's a dammed up water source right there for Paris Mountain. I mean, that is solid rock, also cemented in. And I don't know how, in the late 1700s and early 1800s, how they brought in construction gear, but a lot of it was done manually, or maybe by ox or horse. But they didn't have bulldozers back then to make this, so keep in mind, this is ancient. This is over 200-year-old mechanical devices. Solid iron, wrought iron. And that's the pipe water supply that supplied water all the way into Greenville. And as you can see, it's blue. That is microbial bacteria, plant-like material, that photosynthesizes in the sun, and it creates that beautiful pale blue. So we're going to keep walking up here to see more of this ancient dam. All right, let's keep going. Pretty amazing, I will say. Let's keep walking up here and see what we can find next, because this is probably the second water reserve and lake and dammed up lake area. Whoa, it's sunny. Very sunny. Keep off a dam, no swimming. Alright. Let's continue these sulfur springs. Up these roads, hills, paths that are ancient and rooted. Sulfur Springs Trail. Paris Mountain. Not Paris Mountain. Paris. No, Paris. Paris. No Paris. Paris. The old sneaky PBR trick to avoid the Ranger Rick and Yogi Bear from coming after you. Take a look at this over here. This is just a big daddy long leg spider. See? There he is. And that helps everybody. Eats all the bugs and mosquitoes that we don't like. There he is. Active even in the winter. Takes care of all the pesky, poisonous, venomous, toxic creatures, such as spiders that are actually potentially dangerous even, and a lot of other insects that we don't like, including mosquitoes. Even though the daddy longleg looks dangerous, it's a big mountain daddy longleg, and it's fine. It's good. Hangs out there with the Anoles that previously I had showed you in the earlier clips, in the earlier video. Check it out, boys and girls. Oh look, there might be even a lizard in there. Huh. There might even be, I even see a lizard's tail. I don't recommend grabbing into holes like that because there could be rattlesnakes. And those are poisonous, venomous. Pick your poison. Anyways, yeah, some kids were smuggling some PBRs, which is always funny and enjoyable, but take a look. This is the second reservoir. One of many reservoirs here at the state park in Paris Mountain State Park. Used to be known as the Greenville water supply in the late 1700s, early 1800s. That's when it became just that. Take a look. And this is where the water came from in Greenville, South Carolina, in case you're wondering. Oh, look at that. The beautiful non-aerial views from my point of view, so from the bottom of the trees and all their beautiful forms. Get to see the barnacles and the branches kind of do their thing. Look like little dendrils, hands. Well, this is what it looks like. Now, even though I'm not allowed to technically walk over to this dam area, I think I'm going to do it no matter what, just to give you this little extra footage here to give you an idea of what it really looks like, to see the water pressure, because to understand how these reservoirs work, you have to understand gravity and water pressure. And that is exactly what happens here, is gravity takes this water, this lake, forces it downward, filters it through this malachite-rich rock and these roots. And these are elevated roots that you have in older mountains. They're not deep roots. And the roots kind of filter that water and clean it. So you actually have really, really surprisingly clean water up here in the South Carolina upstate. Very nice. Okay, here we are. So, I just met some very nice people. Now, what I'm going to do is show you the top of this reservoir here. Now, if you look, I might end up getting yelled at, but that is okay. Now, this is the top of the reservoir in Paris Mountain. Look. Take a look. Here we go. Paris Mountain. There it is. If someone wants to yell at me, they can. They can yell at me if they want. Perfectly fine. Even if I get a fine, that is okay. So, there it is. That was it, everybody. That is the reservoir. And that is how the water was funneled in the late 1700s, early 1800s through this reservoir here. And it came down into the mountains, downhill, using gravity, funneled all the way into this receptacle right here. And that receptacle ended up catching the water. A turbine would spin it. It would open, a valve would open, and it would go through that 12-inch pipe, feeding down to downtown Greenville, also known as Pleasantburg. Okay. Well, oh, my friends left. Just met some cool people. Cool people, local people from the town. Oh, filming. Well, you thought I signed off, didn't you? Well, I didn't. I pulled a Harold Balder, the most progressivo vlogger in the universe, in the vlogosphere. Look at this. That is the top of the reservoir. The top of the device and machinery piece that is used to funnel water down to the city of Greenville. Oh, oh, oh. See? Woo! Alright, we're going to keep walking down because we are almost done. We're going to walk back to the Prius. Muy progresivo. The progressive Prius. 55 miles a gallon. And we're going to call it a day. I'm going to let this battery run out so I can learn how to edit these videos for you. Cut out all the fat and the grease. Smooth it out so it's a nice little sculptured work of art. So we're going to see. We're going to see how this goes. Trail footage. The sun's going down. I don't even need these anymore. So we'll see you soon. Okay? See you soon. See you next time. See you again. Amongst the ancient forest. The lichen, that's lichen, powdery lichen, and the moss. Amongst the forest and the moss and the lichen, I'll see you soon. So, this is an ancient duck noise, known only to the ancient duck people. And it is something special. It attracts other ducks. It invites them into the conversation, just like the conversation I'm having with you today. Gosh, I think that's the first time I've ever even looked into the camera. Well. Look at this. We're in the forest here. Paris Mountain State Park, everybody. Another beautiful day in South Carolina. Remember, it's not Southern California. It's South California. It's South California, y'all. South Carolina. Anyways. There's the white pines. Why are they called white pines? Why white? Because that's what they're called. All right. We'll see you downhill. Benjamin and Harold, if you ever see this, thank you. These are the ancient paths that the Native Americans and that the Pilgrims that came from the east and immigrated to the west, the settlers. These are the same paths that those people traipsed, both the natives and the settlers. And before the Cherokee, the Muskogee and the Pewdie people were here. And before that, the animals roamed here. Before that, the dinosaurs. Land grabs, annexation of land, and colonization. Well, this sums up the day for everybody, you included. Beautiful Paris Mountain State Park, named after Richard Paris, a wealthy landowner of the 1700s, who was originally from West Virginia. Now keep in mind, before the Cherokee ran this place, they had colonized the land and removed it from the two people groups, the Pewdie and the Muskogee. Probably others too, which involve the usual types of warfare that we talk about. Now, some of the types of warfare I probably can't mention on YouTube, fearing demonetization, but you get the picture. When war happens, it's usually not too pretty. So, before the Cherokee, in case we jump to conclusions here, there were other Native Americans. The Cherokee, can't use that word. I'm going to have to bleep that word out. Had done some things to them. And those were two Native American groups. And then before that, animals roamed here. Wild saber-toothed tigers. Wild saber-toothed tigers. And woolly mammoths, who were also destroyed by the comets and meteorites. So that's just how it goes. I don't know what comes after this. I don't know which human or which alien race is going to come down and claim this wonderful territory from us. But that's how history goes. And if you want to fact check me, go to ChatGPT, look it up. Or just go online. The great internets. Use the internet. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, calling it a day from Paris Mountain. Hope you enjoyed that video. Paris Mountain is known for its water supply, the Greenville water supply. Greenville Water Company. And it's also known for many other things. One of those being a hiking trail. Great place for people like you and me to go explore. Hiking trails, fishing, kayaking, mountain biking. It's quite a nice place. You don't even have to come here. Now that I've showed you the video, you can just enjoy this video from the comfort of your own bedroom, couch, wherever you sit your tuchus down. Or you could decide to get up and go hiking, go for a walk, go enjoy yourself. That's a woodpecker. Hard to see, but it's up there. You can hear it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that today. We got to explore Paris Mountain, South Carolina. Not to be confused with other Parises out there. This area is known for good hiking, kayaking, fishing, mountain biking. It is a state park these days, but before that, it was a water supply area, a water supply chain, a reservoir essentially, that supplied water for the city of Greenville. And I don't know, there's a lot of history here. And it's good to know where our water came from, because 80% of our bodies are water. 80% of our bodies are water. So it's good to kind of know where your water supply came from. Then again, after the 1920s, this area no longer became the main water supply for Greenville. It might be another area. In fact, it is, which I should probably know, but I don't know because I'm human. Signing off. See you next time. Bye.